Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here today. I don't know what your commute was like, but I thought it was awesome that the road was shut down right in front of the location. Kind of forced everybody into the right spot. In my case, I was forced to turn into the school. So we're glad you're here today. I'm Representative Wes Cantrell. I'm excited about the opportunity to lead this effort, to lead this committee, excited about our committee members that we have and the testimony and what we're going to learn today. Georgia's a great place to live, work, and raise a family. It's also a welcoming state where hardworking people from anywhere and all walks of life can thrive. And we've got over 1 million foreign-born folks living in our state. It's about 10% of our population. And so we're not talking about a small number of people. And they have played a huge role in Georgia being named the best state in the country in which to do business for basically year after year after year. I think we're 7 years in a row. Is it 8 now? 8 years in a row. So thank you. So I should keep up with that stuff, right? Down at, I don't drink personally, but down at the Capitol, people drink every time that's said because it's said quite often. Let's see what else I want to tell you about foreign-born entrepreneurs in our state. Provide jobs for over 200,000 Georgians and have produced more than $33 billion in sales revenues. 1 in 7 of Georgia workers is foreign-born. 22% of those workers work in science, technology, engineering, and math industries. Almost 20% of our doctors and healthcare workers are foreign-born. So in light of that, this committee has been formed to identify and make recommendations for removal of any barriers that limit the impact of our foreign-born population. We're going to review best practices, hearing some witnesses. We're going to assess the greatest areas of need and attempt to identify solutions to those problems. We're soliciting input today and in future meetings, and then we're going to develop specific recommendations based upon what we learned in our meetings. So we're excited about what we're all going to learn here together. Before we get started with our agenda, I'm going to ask Dr. Tavares Holston, who is the president of the college here. We're so grateful for you guys hosting us today. So bring us a word of greeting, if you would.
Well, welcome everyone. It is our pleasure to host you. Thank you for choosing Georgia-Piedmont and choosing to have your committee meeting here. But we're very passionate about the work that you're doing, as you're going to hear from our staff and our team. If there's ever anything that we can do while you're here, please do not hesitate to let us know. Here at Georgia-Piedmont, we're about developing global workforce talent. A part of that is our global community that we serve here, and making sure that we integrate them into our workforce as well. I hear from businesses quite often that the thing that they need more than anything is workers, skilled workers. And that's exactly what we're about here at the college. So we're glad to partner with you all and host you for this event. Again, I know that I heard a very full agenda, so I'm not going to take any more of your time. And there's a lot of important work to be done here. So thank you for choosing Georgia-Piedmont Tech.
Thank you, Dr. Holston. I've already introduced myself. My name is Wes Cantrell. I live in Woodstock, Georgia. Before they upgraded to a much better chairman, I used to be the chair of the Small Business Development Committee, and the thing we heard over and over again was workforce development, workforce development, workforce development. And one of our members is not here today, Representative Carpenter, because he's having workforce development issues in his own small business up in Dalton. And he has to work today, all day. He told me from 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. He may have exaggerated knowing him. But anyway, so he's not with us today, but I'm going to let's just take a moment and have our members introduce themselves, and we'll start. Morgan Hall, before Jocas speaks. Morgan, you don't need to introduce yourself, but Morgan's our analyst. She works with the House of Representatives down at the Capitol, and she'll be helping the committee take good notes and develop our recommendations at the end of our 3 meetings. Representative Kausche.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Angelika Kausche, and I'm the state representative of House District 50, Johns Creek, which is one of the most diverse districts in the state. Representing it since 2019. I'm on the Small Business Committee with Chairman Jocas, we talked a lot about workforce development. Came to the U.S. in 1997 Angelica was a K, the German way. So, but if you're an immigrant, you're used to that stuff because I know names are weird, so I'm okay with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Angelica. Chairman, this is the upgrade to the Small Business Development Committee. Chairman Jocas.
Yeah, I think he passed it on to me. My name is Mike Jocas. I'm chairman of the Small Business Development Committee. I'm from Americus, Georgia, down in South Georgia. I appreciate the fact that he made me drive all this way this morning in the traffic. But with that being said, no, it's extremely important what we do as far as developing workforce. I can appreciate the importance of the work that the study committee is doing. My grandparents immigrated from Greece. My grandfather came first over here on Thanksgiving Day in 1904. So I'm third generation. With that being said, he started a business and was successful and worked and was happy to have the opportunities that this country provides. My wife and I travel quite a bit, and other parts of the world don't have these same opportunities and shared goals. One thing that's unique, in my opinion, about this country is education, education, education. And President Holston, I appreciate what you said, and my hat's off to you and your other college presidents throughout the state. The technical college system and what they do, gating the workforce, grading, overcoming language barriers, cultural barriers, and doing that important work for the state and the nation, and building better citizens because of that. So, Wes, I think it was quite appropriate that you picked this particular location for the thing.
Absolutely.
I'm going to put a little plug in. Technical college system in my notebook. Thank you. Thank you very much, and I look forward to hearing from everyone today.
Thanks, Mike. Representative Fry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Spencer Fry. I represent House District 118, which is north and east Athens in Athens, Clark County, where the University of Georgia is. And I appreciate the opportunity to do this, to meet in this facility, explore the work that y'all do. You know, we want to point out, unless anybody in here is a full-blooded American Indian, I reckon we're all immigrants of some sort. We're all descended from immigrants in some way, shape, or form. With today's technology, you can really see the Ancestry.com I've been getting involved in and getting my aunt and my mother to see where we came from, and that's extremely important. But it actually is the truth. While I look like I look, I am absolutely descended from immigrants to the United States of America. And for us to recognize this as a way forward in this country will only strengthen this country and strengthen our populations and our social networks and our innovation. And that's what this country has always been about, and that's what we should always be about in the future. So thank you. I look forward to the testimony, and I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Ms. Barracotti, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Sushma Barghouti, and I'm the Executive Director at the Refugee Women's Network. I am honored to be here today. Thank you, Darlene. So I came to United States 21 years ago from Nepal to pursue my graduate studies. And I made United States my home. I live in Atlanta right now with my family. And we help the newcomers now. But also, like Representative Angelica said, if anyone had told me 21 years ago that I would be owning a business, I would be shocked. But now I'm also a social entrepreneur, and I run a small business supporting them. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Diaz.
Mr. Chairman, good morning. I'm sure this is on. Is it okay? Good morning. My name is Renee Diaz. I'm president and CEO of Diaz Foods, and I'm a Cuban refugee. Came straight to Atlanta in 1967. 6 years old. Didn't speak English. Went to failed kindergarten. Maybe repeat that. That's what but I learned English. Within 2 weeks, I was speaking English, and I went to a special ed class where they had me pronounce, the letters of the alphabet correctly. So I always say I speak perfect English, and that's thanks to the public school systems of the state of the city. I'm half Cuban, half Lebanese. My children are a quarter Cuban Lebanese, another quarter. They are call it Mexican descent, but that Mexican descent, half of it is Native North American, the other half is from Belgium. So their Mexican grandmother is 5'2", blue eyes, blonde, can't get more Belgian than that. The other quarter from my wife's side is American. That American side is German, Swedish. So my brother-in-law that was born in this country, but his mother's half Mexican, has red hair and red beard. Scottish. I can tell, we have mutts in the family. But, Thanksgiving isn't celebrated in Cuba, nor is July 4th. But since I came to this country, every July 4th, we celebrate, I always say, probably better than most Americans. We kill a hog, and celebrate, and we don't stop celebrating. But I would say this, that, my hometown where I was born, I said that the town I call home is the city of Atlanta. The country I was born is Cuba. The country I was born my life for, the United States of America. And that's what it's all about.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Diaz. Guys, we're going to be rather informal today. So just bear with me. That's just how I roll. I don't believe in all this formal mumbo jumbo. I'd rather understand what's going on completely and people feel comfortable. So I want everybody to be comfortable today. I am going to have to be the bad guy today. If you've seen our agenda, we have a lot on it. And it's going to be very challenging to stay on schedule, and that's my task. So I'll be running a timer on folks, and here's the way it'll work for our presenters today. We'll, if you can finish in time, we'll have some question and answer time from the committee. If you don't finish on time, then we won't be able to have any question and answer time from the committee. So just bear that in mind, and we've got a great, really strong set of presenters today, and I'll ask each one of you when you have your time to just introduce yourself, tell us what we need to know about you, and we'll move along in that fashion. So we're going to start off with the need and the opportunity. Darlene and Daniela, if you'll make your way up here, we'll get started. And I'm not going to penalize you for the fact that we're already a little bit late, but we'll try to keep it as close to 10 minutes as possible. You guys going to present together or separately?
Together.
Together.
Daniela will go first.
Yep.
All right. Fire when ready. Oh, and by the way, committee members, these presentations are in your packet if you want to follow along and take notes.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to members of the committee and everyone for being with us today. Really excited for the opportunity to kind of share a little bit about the Georgia Chamber's Global Talent Initiative and kind of how we join the forces with our lead to really continue to talk about this issue. So just to kind of, we're the Chambers, we want to talk about the economy and what's going on. We are the best state in the nation in which to do business for 8 years running. We're incredibly proud of that. You'll see, in 2020, we actually had a 40% increase in economic development in the state, which I think is incredible. When you think about all of the challenges that face businesses, workers, our state as a whole, we certainly credit this to the fantastic leadership of Governor Kemp, our General Assembly, and of course, Commissioner Wilson's fantastic team in the department. We're actually on track to have a better year than we did last year, which is amazing. Of course, we're working with our partners in the department, but I think it's fantastic to show, the fact that Georgia is seen as truly a top place to do business, and we think we've got fantastic opportunities. But, we pulled these numbers, I think, a little bit later in May. Over the last 90 days, there were at least 230,000 individuals on unemployment in the state of Georgia. And when we pulled our labor market data, there were more than 406,000 job openings. So I think you'll see there's clearly a disparity there. We basically, almost double the amount of job postings that we have on unemployment. So I think when we're talking about, the workforce crisis that's facing our state, it's not simply about moving these folks from unemployment and getting them, into new jobs that are growing across the state. We have to think differently about what's going on and how can we change directions so that we can create different opportunities for individuals that may not be utilizing their skills to the fullest ability. So we actually started this initiative before the pandemic. We saw the fact that our member companies across the state were seeing workforce shortages. This wasn't something that was just happening during COVID. Actually, in 2007, we had the highest workforce participation rate in our state we've ever had. It was 68%, which isn't 100 if we're looking at numbers. It's actually down to 63% now, and when you think about how the state population has grown as well, there's certainly a huge dip. So we need to get more folks in the workforce in general. At the same time, we know what we've heard from our member companies across the state is that we have to think strategically about how to recruit the talent that we need in order to continue to grow our industries. Companies across the state are having challenges just sustaining operations. They don't even have the opportunity to think about growing those operations. And it's because we don't have the talent that we need. So we want to think, how do we upskill folks that are already here? How do we create those opportunities, make sure that they're using their skills to the fullest ability, while also strategically recruiting in industries that we know have to have more talent, because we simply don't have the people here that we need. We've also done a lot of polling with some partners and found that 85% of Georgia voters agree it's important for Georgia to develop state solutions to immigration reform. We were also testing kind of things to see, what was most important, so we're happy to continue to share that. But I think there's a huge opportunity for us to really think about unique Georgia solutions that meet our state's needs and will continue to push us forward. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Darlene to talk a little bit more about the foreign community.
Thank you, Daniela. So thank you all for being here today. I'm here representing the Business and Immigration for Georgia Partnership, which we call the BIG Partnership. And we've been very active in this movement to try to maximize the deep, deep pool of global talent that we have here in Georgia. And we're really at a moment right now. You are here, and seeing everybody here makes me realize we are at a moment. We have the business community focused on this issue. We have a bipartisan panel focused on this issue. We have the refugee and immigrant community focused on this issue. 85% of Georgians support what we're doing here today. And we are not alone. This is something that is happening across the nation. People saying, we have a lot of talent right here in the state, but we have outdated barriers and regulations that are preventing people from contributing to the economy. So the BIG Partnership has brought together businesses and groups like ours, the Coalition of Refugee Service Agencies and other groups who support strengthening Georgia by tapping into the potential of our newcomers. As Chairman Cantrell pointed out, 1 in 10 Georgians is foreign-born, and they are bringing skills and talents to this state from countries all over the world. We are very fortunate to have that 1 in 10 here in Georgia. Nearly half are naturalized citizens who are eligible to vote, and 75% have a high school education, 33% have a higher degree. In Georgia, we are becoming increasingly global. And these are the data before the last census, but as you know, the last census numbers also show increasing diversity in Georgia. So now is the time to figure out how to get these folks into the workforce and contributing to the full extent possible. What we know is we have a problem that goes by the name brain waste. 18.9% of foreign-born Georgians are working in lower skilled jobs than they're capable of, compared to 15.4% of native-born Georgians. And this committee will look at what the reasons are for that. But I've mentioned to a few folks here today, for instance, we have people who have worked with the U.S. military in Afghanistan and in Iraq in military security positions who can't be police officers in their own communities in Georgia because we have restrictive regulations that do not exist in our neighboring states and in other Republican states. They should be able to serve in their own communities just like they served with the forces overseas. These are our big policy objectives, and I'm not going to read through them, but there's a number of barriers and items that we want to address to expand our workforce and develop the global talent. You will see in your packets a survey that we did of the refugee and immigrant service community where we asked folks, what are the biggest barriers that you're seeing? You came to the United States to try to achieve the American dream, and you've run into barriers, whether they're occupational licensing barriers, educational barriers. What are the number one things that you would like to see changed for the better? And so you'll find that in your packet. It's called The Community Speaks. I look forward to this day today, hearing from everyone, and that's all I have right now. Thank you so much.
Wow, ahead of schedule. Thank you, Darlene and Daniela. Questions from the committee? Okay, Angelica?
Just one quick question. Thank you very much for your presentations. When we're talking about barriers, there we talked about licensing and educational barriers. One of the issues that comes up very often when I talk to people is that they can't work, of course, especially in the area, because there is not enough affordable housing. Is that something you hear too?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, we see across the state too, there are opportunities. I know we've got an individual too that because of housing constraints too, they actually can start a business. So I think
Right, we're going to hear a little bit about that too, and housing. There are a variety of issues. Some are things that the state could address right away. Some are more complex. Housing is complex. Childcare, transportation. But we're going to be talking a lot about a variety of issues here in the next few meetings.
Okay, we have time for one more. Yeah. Renee?
You mentioned it was about $250,000 or so close to receiving unemployment. Do you have numbers on how many people are unemployed that are all unemployment already?
so. I think we just pulled some numbers. Currently, the number of individuals that are right now, according to Department of Labor, that are on unemployment currently is around 208,000. So we are seeing a decline, but those are folks that are currently on unemployment right now, not the initial claims. That's folks that are currently receiving those benefits. So we are seeing a decline, but it's gradual.
But we don't know how many have stopped receiving, not how many.
Right, and that's the thing, we looked at the labor force participation rate, which we think is a little bit better in terms of a metric, but we don't know those folks that have completely stopped looking for work as a whole. So I think, data has its limitations, but we certainly know there's a whole host of folks that we need to get better engaged in the workforce, and I think we have got a lot of good opportunities to do that. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you.
Next, we'll have a global Georgia overview with Santiago Marquez and Hadia Mixon. You guys will go up and introduce yourselves.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, my name is Kate Stamper, I'm from Woodstock, and I'm hard of hearing. Would you please encourage the speakers to speak into the microphone?
Okay, Kate, good call. So let us know if people aren't speaking up and you can't hear. I apologize for that. Yes, please, everybody, speak into the microphone.
Thank you. And if you can't hear me, let me know. I'll do my best to speak up. Hello, everyone. My name is Hadia Mixon. I am the CEO of New American Pathways. We are a refugee settlement and service organization close by, right down the road. We work in Clarkson all the time. I want to say welcome to Clarkson. This is, Clarkson has been called the most diverse square mile in America. We're in Ellis Island of the South. I've been working in Clarkson for over 2 decades in refugee resettlement. Gotten to know this community very, very well, and it's a wonderful place. So I really encourage everybody to take some time and drive around if the roads are open. Our goal today, Santiago and I, is we know that we're going to be talking about a lot of things you're going to be hearing from immigrant business owners, entrepreneurs, employers, and we just wanted to set the tone of what are we talking about, who are we talking about. There are terms that you'll hear throughout the day, and just a little bit of data on this workforce and what fields we're talking about, and just kind of set the tone for the day a little bit. I wanted to start off with some key terms. Going the wrong way. All right. So when we talk about global talent in Georgia, there are a lot of people who come to Georgia to visit, who come to Georgia to study, who come to Georgia to invest or do business, who don't come to Georgia to stay. So when we're talking about immigrants, we're talking specifically about people who have come to stay in the United States, and we're talking about people who make Georgia their home. There are a lot of people, especially here in Clarkston, who work with the refugee community. And so a refugee is a type of immigrant. So a lot of times people will say refugee and immigrant, but a refugee is an immigrant who's fled their country and cannot return for fear of persecution. When somebody has refugee status in the United States, they have been vetted through a process overseas, and they have come into the United States through a refugee resettlement agency like New American Pathways. There are also 3 other refugee resettlement agencies in Georgia. They've applied overseas, they've been granted refugee status, they'll become permanent residents in 1 year. They follow the rules, go through the process, and are eligible for citizenship at 5 years. They're eligible to work as soon as they get their Social Security card, which is in about 30 to 60 days after arriving in the United States. You also hear about asylum seekers and refugees, and what is the difference between somebody who has asylum in the United States and somebody who has refugee status. It's not the circumstances that brought them here, but how they applied. A refugee applied overseas and came through the U.S. refugee program. An asylum seeker came into the country another way and applied either at the border or upon arrival, not necessarily at the border, but upon arrival, or they came into the country another way and applied after that they were here. Once they're granted asylum, though, the status isn't different. They can access services, and they're eligible for green card and citizenship, just like another refugee. You will hear, unless you've been hiding in, I don't know where, you have probably heard the word special immigrant visa holder recently this week. These are the individuals who supported the U.S. government in Iraq and Afghanistan. It's a special status. We have been welcoming SIVs to Georgia for decades now, so there are hundreds, probably thousands of SIVs living in the state of Georgia. If you're wondering about those people who are being evacuated now, it'll take a while before they would end up in Georgia, but some of the people who were evacuated a few weeks ago are already here. So there are 64 recent Afghan SIVs already in Georgia, going through the resettlement process or scheduled to arrive in the next few days. So when you hear SIV, that's what that is. And lots of SIVs are living in the Clarkston area. And then also you hear a lot about DACA. DACA is Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. So it's a policy that protects young people who entered the U.S. unlawfully as children. The program does not grant official status, but people who have received DACA can apply for a driver's license, get a Social Security number, and work in the United States. So you're going to hear about those things probably through the next committee, so I thought I would just do a little definition to make sure we were all on the same page. I don't know if you guys have heard, but 1 in 10 Georgians is an immigrant. So we have a lot of the same data, and nearly half are already naturalized citizens and eligible to vote. Incidentally, we had sort of record numbers in voter registration in our naturalized citizen community during the last presidential election here in Georgia. We're talking about these different populations. They estimate, although it's hard to tell because refugees have been coming to Georgia for 40 years, 40 plus years through the official refugee program, but even longer than that. But it's estimated that there are over 60,000 refugees living in Georgia, over 20,000 DACA recipients, but 40,000 are eligible if the program is reinstated. And then once again, we have been welcoming SIVs in Georgia for a long time. And many of our servicemen and women working out at the various Air Force bases, military bases throughout the state have connections to these individuals. We are getting calls from those folks right now. And so just want to talk a little bit about the financial contribution of refugees and immigrants in Georgia. Immigrants in Georgia earn $40 billion in household income. They have $29.1 billion in spending power and contribute $10.88 billion in annual taxes. We also have a lot of immigrant homeowners in Georgia who hold $80 billion in housing wealth. And working in a refugee resettlement agency, one of the things And one of the most wonderful things to see is people that we welcomed in as refugees buying their first homes, which happens quicker than. All right, and I'm going to turn it over to Santiago, who's going to talk a little bit more about the workforce.
Good morning. I'm Santiago Marquez. I'm the CEO of the Latin American Association, Mr. Chair Committee. I'm an immigrant. I was born in Cuba, and I'm an American citizen, and I agree with everything that Renee said. This is my country. This is the country that I would die for. I'm honored to be here, lucky to be here, actually. In terms of the workforce, as you can see, 14% of Georgia workers are foreign born, and that comprises 12% of the essential workforce, right? And we saw that last year. As soon as the pandemic hit, there was a scramble. There was a supply chain issue, right? Just about everywhere. Our farms, our poultry plants, grocery stores, restaurants, and it's still happening. I know that Renee's probably seeing a lot of that with his business and the food and beverage business. And certainly, I think when we think of immigrants, a lot of us think about construction and meat processing, but sometimes we don't think about physicians and STEM workers, right? And if we look at those percentages, 28% are physicians and surgeons and 22% STEM workers, right? So that stereotype, yes, obviously, there's a lot of immigrants in construction and a lot of immigrants in meat processing, but also they might be operating or your family. And, we need them for IT, we need them to be engineers. So there's a huge need, and they're already there. We're here. About 82,000 immigrant entrepreneurs in Georgia. I would argue that number is probably higher. We have personal experience in this at the LAA. We actually run entrepreneurship classes for women, and we run at least 240 women a year through our curriculum. And I would say that a lot of immigrants are entrepreneurs by choice, and a lot of them are entrepreneurs by necessity, right? They can't get a job, they can't get a sustainable job. They're already risk takers. They've left everything behind. They've taken the step that is unimaginable to a lot of us, to leave their family, their country. They've already come here, so for them to start a business is not that big of a risk, right? A lot of people are afraid to start a business because we're worried about the risk. So a lot of folks start businesses because they don't really have a choice. And I would say that we're going to see a tremendous growth in this, especially with women, because we all know the pandemic hit women the hardest. We've seen it, lack of childcare options, especially, I'll speak of Latino women. A lot of them had to stay home and take care of their families. That's the choice that they made. But they still want to work, they want to be productive, and they need to support their families. So we're going to see a huge growth in entrepreneurship. And look at the amount of money that's generated by businesses, by immigrant businesses, $1.9 billion, and employ over 200,000 Georgians. And we all know that small business is the backbone of the Georgia economy. All right, time up, sir? Okay. So 40.3% of immigrant workers have limited English proficiency. And I want to say that we can help with this. This is one of the barriers that's holding them back. At our organization and other organizations, we have ESL programs, with certified teachers. And this is part of what can really help eliminate those barriers and really get folks to that next level. I'll leave it there, sorry. Because I know time's up, I want to be mindful.
All right, thank you very much. We will move right along to our next presenters. Okay, Representative Fry's got a question.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to clarify a statistic here. On the previous slide, am I correct in saying that 50% of immigrant workers in the state of Georgia are STEM physicians and surgeons? 50%. Is that right? Yeah, was 22?
28%.
Well, I would say they make up. So it's not 50% of immigrants are in these fields, but they make up 50% of the people that are, like, for example, 28% of physicians and surgeons are foreign born. So of the surgeons, which, surgeons is a small class of people, but of the surgeons, 28% are immigrants.
Okay, so let me rephrase that then. 50% of these fields our friendly immigrant
That's
community.
right.
And those are fields that we are lacking in the state of Georgia.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
constantly need to
That's right.
bolster.
Right.
Right. Thank you, thank you.
Great question. All right, we're going to move right along to pursuit of the American dream in Georgia. Are we doing better on sound? Are you able to hear better?
So far, yes, sir.
Okay, all right. I did not get phonetic pronunciations here, so I'm going to probably butcher these, all right? But Ayaz Ahmed is going to be our moderator, and he has three. Joyce? Was I close? No, okay. I'll let you correct me. Jamie Rangel, and then Riyadh Sayed. Close? Okay, great. Yes, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, representatives, for convening us here today. As you have seen, we've got three representatives from the community here, three immigrants. I myself am also an immigrant, so we're happy to be here to share some of the experiences and to allow these folks to share some of their dreams that they came with and the challenges and then their recommendations and requests for the community. So we'll start off with a question to all three of you. So starting off with Jaime, could you please share with us a little about your journey to the U.S. And then also some of the dreams that you brought with you and your family?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, for being here today in Clarkston. I'm a DACA recipient. My name is Jaime Rangel, but a lot of people on the go don't call me Jamie, so feel free to call me Jamie. No, you're good, it's all fine. I was brought to this country when I was only like an infant, like 6 months old. The first steps that I took in this country as a toddler were in American soil. I grew up in the northwest Georgia mountains, as you can tell from by the accent. I grew up with both cultures. I grew up eating tortillas and I grew up eating grits. So to me, America is my home. I will say I will proudly stand and pledge allegiance to the United States of America. This country has given me so much. Growing up, I had a vision to be a journalist. I wanted to be a sports writer on ESPN. But then that later changed when the financial crisis hit and I got more interested in the monetary policy and I wanted to work at a hedge fund. But, you know, barriers came along the way. When it was time to get a driver's license, my parents sat me down and they told me, you were not born in Georgia. I thought I was born in Georgia. You were not born in Georgia, you were born in Mexico. We brought you when you were young, and this is the situation you are in. Going to college is 3-4 times the amount. DACA recipients are not allowed to get state, HOPE, financial, even federal help. So let that be clear, as someone that's directly impacted, we do not get any state aid or federal aid. Not only that, DACA recipients, through the DACA program though, I am able to work here legally. I do have a work permit, I do pay taxes, I do have a social security that gives me lawful presence, and I do pay into that program. Unfortunately in our state, we have that barrier of higher education. There are 20,000 DACA recipients, 30,000 that are eligible for the program in total. But out of those 20,000, I want the committee to understand that 5,000 are working in the healthcare industry right now fighting COVID, either through nursing, doctors, or even being assistants, or whatever. They're in our hospitals and our clinics right now fighting against this pandemic. So my aspirations right now is to try to remove that barrier and urge the members of the Georgia General Assembly to change that, to allow access to higher education to individuals who were brought here to this country through no fault of their own, who just want to, be part of the state and help the state grow and prosper. I'm happy to share more about my story offline and talk about other things, but to be respectful of the other speakers, that's all I have to say, and I'm here for any questions and be a resource for y'all under the Bill Dome. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Jaime. And I'll present the same question to you, Joy, as well. Can you share a little bit about your journey and your dreams when you arrived here in Georgia?
My name is Joy, Joyeuse Muhoza, and I came here in 2016 from Uganda. I am a refugee from Congo, but I stayed in Uganda for over 14 years. And in 2016, we were granted asylum, and we came in with my family, and we got an apartment in Claxton. And like every other refugee, a young woman at that age, I was having so many dreams. I thought maybe I'll become a doctor, or I had so many expectations. I expected to come to a fully furnished house and, you know, everything created for me, like the American dream. So to my surprise, so many things were different when I got here. I expected to go straight to school because I had finished my high school diploma, and I thought I would go straight to school and start school like everybody else, like have a normal life, like have friends and everything, but everything was different when I got here. I realized that my life turned around, and I had hit a rock bottom at that point, because I didn't go to school. I had to go straight to a chicken factory to start working, and I had to wait for 1 year trying to do SATs, trying to do TOEFLs and all those things, trying to get in school. So things were, the American dream at that time became unreal for me and my family as well, trying to learn English. I spoke English, but I don't think you would all understand me as you do understand me right now. So I had to learn how to speak to people too. When I go to the store, people are like, "What are you saying?" And you have to repeat something over and over again, like build my confidence and be able to speak to people. So the American dream and the dream that we're all talking about at that time was unreal. It became unreal for the next few years. I'm trying to pick up myself and I'm trying to help people around me. And when I looked around me, I realized that actually people who are around me were less advantaged than I was, because at least I could speak a few words in English. I started teaching some of people who stayed in our apartment. I started teaching them English. Every Saturday evenings when they would come from the chicken factory, I'd be like, okay, will you please tell me when they tell you what is your name, how do you say your name? What is your address? And like teaching them those very few things that were very, very important in case anything happens to them. So yeah, it's been a journey, and I currently work at Emory University Hospital as an assistant nurse. And I go to Chamberlain School of Nursing. I'm in nursing school. So I'm currently pursuing my American dreams that I'll keep talking about as the questions keep going. Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. And Dr. Riyad, same question to you as well.
Hi, my name is Riyad Said. I'm from Syria. I came to the United States in 2014. I fled with my family because of the civil war in Syria. It was a long journey through Lebanon, Beirut, then to Jordan, to the American Embassy. I got my visa. I came to the United States. I have a big dream, like for my family to live in a peace place. For my wife also to be happy, because she was unhappy at all. We did not have any electricity for a few days, no water at all. At the last days in my city in Aleppo, and that was terrible for all the family. And then I would like to have a good education for my kids also. My wife was pregnant with Michael, and I had a daughter also. When I came, my big dream to be a dentist here, but I had like big problem first with the language. I was unable to speak English. Nobody can understand me. Then for the expenses, I have to make ends meet. By the end of the day, I have to work hard also. Then for the regulation here, I love to live in Georgia here. The weather is nice, people are wonderful. But I can't afford the expenses to go to the college. It's like I have to do 2 exams, NDB 1 and NDB then I have to go to the college for 2 to 4 years. It cost a lot of money. Finally, I found a job in a dental lab as a dental technician, dental science lab. I worked for 4 years. I moved to integrity lab also. Then I lost my job last year due to COVID-19. I got a license to be a pharmacy technician. I worked for a flu shot event at Walmart, and COVID-19 faced also. Then I lost my job again, due to go to the end the event at Walmart. I found another job also. Then I lost it. It's a dental lab, as a dental lab technician, because I worked in partial dentures also, and they don't have that much work for me. I lost it. Finally, I came back to dental science lab. They want me just temporarily for a limited time to work. I worked with them. But it's hard for me to move from one job to another job. That's like sometimes I can't sleep at night because I don't feel I'm stable here. My family, I love to live here. It's like a dream for me and for my family. But because I'm a dentist and I have like a decent experience, like 23 years from my private office in Syria, I would like to add my small experience to the American general experience, to the dentist in the United States. Like I can help the people they don't have enough money to pay out of pocket to go to private clinic here. That was my dream here in the United States. It's an honor to me to talk to all of you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you all. And we started off with this question of the dreams and the journey, but then also the dreams and challenges that you all have come across in your own pathways and in your lives. However, at the same time, all three of you have accomplished a lot in the short time that you've been here in Georgia and in Atlanta, right? So could you share a little bit about what help you did receive along the way? What were the systems that are here right now in Clarkston and Atlanta and Georgia that enabled you to achieve what you did achieve? So we'll start with Joy.
So thanks, Diaz. So I'm so thankful to be here, as much as I had all the challenges that I've mentioned and some maybe that I haven't talked about, but I'm so thankful that I have achieved so much more than I would have achieved if I stayed back in Uganda or back in Congo. I had a very, very great support system when I got here. So when I got here, IRC had just started a youth program called Connect to Success. And this program helps young refugee women 16 to 24 to get into college. So this is the program that helped me get through all my papers. My transcripts were all evaluated and everything was on the line. Even when I felt like giving up, these are the people who are pushing me up. And we also had panels like this ones. I think two ladies said that if they told them one day that they would be standing here, they would say it's not a reality. I think it's the same thing. If one day they told me that I would be on a panel to speaking, I would think that would never happen. So these people were encouraging us all the time. We had people coming from the CAB and all that, the CAB workforce and from different places. And we would have nurses, doctors, and different people coming on the panel and just encouraging young people on how to achieve their dreams. And I was among people, sitting in there and listening, and this really helped a big deal. I also got a mentor, and she's a lawyer. She lives a very private life, but I love mentioning her all the time. But she has become a part of our family right now. And even right now, she still checks on me. How is nursing school going? What do you need? And all that stuff. So that pushed me all the time, work hard and all that stuff. So along the way, I met really amazing people. And I met my former manager at work, I remember when I went to interview with her, I didn't have any experience. And when I reached there, she was like, okay, so you come from Congo, right? And I was like, yes. And she's like, okay, do you have any experience? Yes. And then I said no, and she said, I'm going to give you a chance. And I believe everybody deserves a chance. Like, in life, we all deserve a chance. Regardless of when you walk into a refugee and they can't speak English, maybe, or they can't do things the way you expect them to do them. I think everybody deserves a chance. Like, give them a chance to prove a point. I remember the time when she was resigning, I gave her a call and I was like, thank you so much for giving me a chance. And if she didn't give me a chance, I wouldn't prove that actually I was capable of being a good worker. Because at work, most people call me that joy of Emory. So I believe maybe they wouldn't see that joy if she didn't give me a chance. So I think, like, for me, the biggest takeaway that, like, if we can forget anything else from everything that I've said, like, let's remember to give people a chance to become better people. Regardless of what is on the surface, I believe everybody has some gold inside them, and just continue giving people a chance. And personally too, I think I also had, I was driven. Like, regardless of all the pressures around me, that I had to keep my mind focused on what I wanted, because I always wanted to help people, and nursing is a way that I can always help people. And I use that, and I continue to use that driving force that I want to help my family, I want to become better for my family. That has helped me become a better person. And thank you so much.
Thank you, and I apologize for cutting you off. I want to make sure we give everybody a chance to speak. So Jaime, could you share a little bit about what was helpful for you as you went through the DACA process and everything that came out of high school?
Yeah, so honestly, the DACA program has given me the opportunity to be where I am today, to come out of the shadows and prove to the government that I am not a threat. Because to apply to DACA, you have to go to a very extensive background check. They check everything, and I have to do that every 2 years. And I have to pay for that every 2 years. But I am where I'm at today, and I'll keep it very brief because of two things: God and the good people that are in this state. We have really good people in our state. When I started getting involved in 2014 in politics, it was mostly because I just wanted the policy to change for DACA recipients in the state. So in Dalton at the time, my state senator, I sat down with him, and it opened my door, my mind to a lot of things. It made me realize that a lot of our elected officials, we're not talking to someone directly impacted. They were getting one side of the coin of the argument, but they weren't really sitting down, and that's what I just did. I went around the state and just sat down with folks, just talked to them and shared my story, tell them the truth. And by doing that, I got involved with the GHCC, and then I met their government relations person, Jimmy McDonald, who some of y'all know, a person that I consider a mentor and like an uncle. And I just got involved in policy. So I just got pushed into the political world to make changes for our state. After I changed this policy, I want to continue helping my state grow and prosper. There's a lot of issues in our state, and a lot of y'all wake up every morning to face those issues, and I want to be a part of the solution. So that's just a little bit about me, and just to keep it short, again, I'm happy to talk offline after all this. Thank you.
Thank you. And Dr. Riyad, you were sharing earlier about, even though through those challenges, multiple certificates and changes in your career that you've made in this short time. Could you share a little bit about what you feel helped you along, or helped you enabled you to make all of those?
Yeah. Sorry. When I went to the United States, I was unable to speak English, barely ABC. What I had to do, I went to the IRC. I thought I need help. I can't speak English. They said yeah. And they put me like in a school for the refugees, and I started to learn from A to Z the English. After 1 or 2 months, the supervisor said, "You don't have to stay here." They sent me to the workforce, to the camp workforce. in the CAP workforce, they were very helpful for me. I think Ms. Ransom, she helped me a lot. I spent maybe 2 months over there to learn English and some math and science. Then she said, you are good, Riyadh. I'll send you to Georgia, Piedmont Technical College, here. When I came to here, Miss Green, she was wonderful. She helped me a lot. She told me, Riyadh, why did you come to here? I told her, I need to speak English. I need to communicate with the others. I can't understand the American accent, and they can't understand me also. And I'm shy most of the times. That's it. I insist. I thought I came to here, I would like to learn English. This is my goal first, because if I can't speak English, I'll not be able to work, to get a decent work here. She said, yeah, let's go. And I studied here for maybe 8 months, and I got my GED also. And I was happy with that, because after that, I can do something good here in the United States, and I can help the others. I can help my kids to study and learn here in the United States. And I have some friends, they are refugees, and they don't have any information about the GED or workforce, how to find a job also. And they helped me to find a job at dental science lab. That was a huge difference in my life. And I was satisfied because it's like kind of my job. My old career was a dentist, I'm a lab technician, that's fine at the beginning. And I was earning a decent amount of money. And I have like 3-4 friends, I helped them to get a job also. Because I know like a little bit about the system now. How can they start their career in the United States? That made me feel happy and proud to be like, I'm a US citizen now, and to be proud to be a United States citizen now. But my goal for me or for my wife is an engineer also from Syria. She can practice here. She told me, either you or me, you have to have a license here in the United States. I told her, I was joking, I'm the man, let me do it for you. I was joking. That's it. Another thing, like my relatives helped me also a lot here. Like for my first year, I don't have money. I stayed at my uncle's house. I did not pay any penny. That's fair from like, he's a United States citizen, he's from Georgia. That means the Georgia society helped me a lot from every person I met here. Thank you.
Thank you, and I do want to make sure we have some time for the last question, and then pass it over to the committee. Could you each share one thing that you feel we could change or we could impact here to make it easier for the next generation or the folks that are arriving today or tomorrow or next week? Now, so starting Jaime with you, what would you share or what would you ask for?
I kind of mentioned it already, but kind of removing those barriers for individuals who have the DACA program and individuals who would qualify for the program. We are right now facing a labor shortage. You don't have to go far to see that. In your hometowns, you see it all over. I mentioned that 5,000 DACA recipients work in the healthcare industry, meaning that if we were to expand access to higher education, we will see more people in the healthcare industry. We will see more individuals starting businesses. We will see more individuals in the workforce. But they just need those barriers removed. And it's really crazy because Republican and Democrat states around the country have passed legislation that has allowed DACA recipients and individuals who were brought to this country through no fault of their own to pay in-state tuition. So that's one policy recommendation I have right from the get-go.
Thank you. And Joy, same question to you. What would be one thing that we could change or we could impact to make it easier for the next Joy?
I think, so the fact that I stayed for 1 year waiting for my green card before I could get institution, that was a lot. I feel like if they can change that when a refugee gets in, because you're actually going to stay here forever. This is your new home. So if they can make a policy whereby when a refugee gets here, they can get institution. And you don't have to wait for a green card to actually get institution. As long as you have your validation, your papers that show you're a refugee and you're actually eligible to be here, then you straight up you can get your institution. And also the other thing, one more thing is with the housing and giving more grants to refugees. If there could be more grants to refugees, then I feel like most refugees wouldn't feel like to be in school, because most of them stay home because you have to work a full-time job to keep up with your housing, to keep up with food. If just like a refugee who is in school can get maybe food stamps for being in school, because I have to keep up with all my bills while in school, and that is really hard to keep up at the same time. Thank you.
And Dr. Riyad, same question for you.
My brother also is a dentist, and we arrived at the same year, pretty much. He lives in Massachusetts, and they have like kind of license. They call it limited licensing in Massachusetts. That they gave him a permit license to work in a community health center, and he became like 2 years ago a dentist. He started as a dental assistant, then after 1 year he was a hygienist, then now he has a license, permit license to work in Massachusetts, and he's happy. Why we don't have it here? Like we have 159 counties in Georgia, maybe there is 16 counties without dentists also. And most of dental offices, maybe 85 or 90, they don't accept speech care for kids and Medicaids. We can help with that. It says like we eliminate a lot of people, they can't pay out of pocket for their health also. Like we can open a community health center or a medical center that they can accept their insurance. That's it. Or we can open it in the county that they don't have dentists, and they can the dentists like me from foreign countries, they can work and practice under an American licensed doctor. That will be helpful for everyone in the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. So, Mr. Chairperson, questions for the group?
Actually, I had a couple to begin with. Joy, I want to make sure I understood it correctly. So when you have refugee status, you have to stay a year to establish residency before you can get in-state tuition? Is that what you were saying? Okay. I want to make sure I understood that correctly. Okay. And then what is the cost every other year for reapplying to DACA?
My cost is like $500 to apply for DACA, and DACA recipients go to immigration attorneys. The vast majority of them, I would say, go to immigration attorneys, and they have to pay the immigration fee, which it could be in the thousands. Because we want to make sure it's done the right way. Because one screw up, you could be deported just because of a minor screw up. So there's additional cost to that.
Other questions?
Committee? Absolutely.
So thank you. Hello? Can you hear me now? Okay. So thank you very much for your testimonies, and I just want to make a quick comment for the audience, because what we're hearing here, what you testified today, is how different the immigrant experience is. And I want everybody to appreciate that the immigrant experience itself, how you get to this country, how you want to stay here, you want to become a fully functioning member of the society, and it's very, very different for everyone. And I say that I totally can empathize with your experiences, and from my personal experience say so. My family, I'm from Germany, we are lucky, as I say, we come the privileged way. We came on a company-sponsored visa that is very different from what you were going through, and also I appreciate you enjoyed a really
We have to keep in mind when we talk about refugees, those are people who are here on a legal status. So we have to really emphasize that you deserve as much support as any other Georgian. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Just to clarify, excuse me, I took a verb. But you guys are paying into the system, correct? I'm sorry, you're paying into the system, but you don't receive the benefits. Is that correct?
For me, I pay state taxes, pay federal taxes, but I don't get any of the benefits, even though I've grown up in the state of Georgia all my life. So yeah.
Representative Fry?
I truly appreciate I do truly appreciate all these stories and understand the things that you guys have gone through. I think that's a great idea. It's like, why aren't we utilizing the resources and managing the resources properly that we have? The Jocas suggestion, that's incredible. You know, you reminded me of what I would consider the true depth of the pursuit of the American dream. By overcoming challenges that you can overcome, and you have overcome to be where you are today. You know, they say, what do you call a person who speaks 3 languages is trilingual, 2 languages is bilingual, 1 language is American. I can't imagine what you have to go through, except for I have lived in a handful of other countries and been not in your same shoes, but understand the language barrier and the depth of the work that it takes to get to that level of understanding in a whole different language, a field of expertise that you have to go through. So I commend you for that. I really think that you embody the true spirit of the American dream. So thank you.
Thank you so much for being here today. As you know, we're attempting to work on an in-state tuition issue. Did you attend public school growing up, Andy?
Yes, sir, I did. I attended Dalton High School. I mean, the Dalton public school system I attended. I graduated from Murray County High School. Depending who goes.
How much money do you think the state invested in you already?
Oh, thousands of dollars. You're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars.
Probably about, $150,000.
Yeah. Ballpark around there, yeah.
We've already invested in you.
I'm going to tell you, you can't have in-state tuition.
Yeah, it makes no sense. And members of the committee, the state invested in us. We did everything we had to do. And it was a little heartbreaking for me because I actually got 2 scholarships to play baseball at Covenant and Bryan College. And they also have the barriers of, doctor recipients not being eligible, for tuition. So even with the scholarship, I can afford it.
Thank you. Thank you all so much.
We're going to move right along. If you need a break, the restrooms are right out here. There's water and coffee in the back, but we're going to push ahead. Thank you, committee members. If you need a break, just take one as we go. Okay? So we're going to move on to our fire. Hey, before we do that, let's give a big round of applause for it takes a lot of courage to come up and talk in front of an intimidating group like this. All right, so we're going to move on to our fireside chat. So Warren, if you'll come up and lead us for that time.
Thank you guys so much for having us today. My name is Lauren Bowden, and I am the Career Development Coordinator at the International Rescue Committee. My job is that I work with employers like Alan over London, but also with our immigrants and refugees, and I help move them into great jobs with vocational training and connecting them to employers and networking. So my job is really that I am on the front lines and see this problem of brain waste all the time. Earlier we had a presentation where we learned that 18% of our immigrants in the state of Georgia have a college degree and aren't working. And I'm here to tell you that the problem of brain waste is actually a lot bigger than that. There are a lot of high-demand industries in Georgia and positions that we are desperate to fill where you don't need a college degree. There are IT boot camps because we need so many people in IT. You don't need a college degree to enter those. There's transportation and logistics jobs, truck drivers we need, jobs in manufacturing. There's healthcare jobs. We need nursing assistants. And for all of these, you don't need a college degree. 80% of my refugee and immigrant clients have a high school diploma, and they are ready to fulfill those roles. And the barriers that they face are not that they don't have a college degree, but in a lot of cases, as we heard, yes, they need support with their English, but also there are a lot of things that are just like small, silly things that we could change. Often they don't have transportation, so it's difficult when somebody first gets here. It's so difficult to get to school, to get to a job. And a lot of the companies that are relying on refugee and immigrant talent, they have set up transportation solutions. We have buses going between Clarkston and all over rural Georgia, and that has really helped support the transportation. In some cases, that 88% of the clients that I serve that have high school diplomas, they, even though they have a diploma, they're unable to utilize that because it's a foreign diploma, and maybe there's various issues, but maybe when they're trying to go to school or college or apply for a job, there's a lot of skepticism about that foreign diploma, or maybe they don't have the physical copy with them. If you are a refugee and you flee in the night, you probably don't think to go and find the original copy of your high school diploma. If you're a refugee and your school has been burned to the ground or destroyed, you can't call them up and ask for another copy of that. And so that becomes a barrier, right? There's no piece of paper. What do they do? You heard Dr. Riyad's testimony. He and his wife are both clients of mine. She's an engineer, he is a dentist. They started over and got GEDs because they don't have those physical documents. And so there is a way that we can figure this out and verify so that we're able to really connect them. And then the other thing is, of course, it is costly to go to school, right? It's costly to be able to, if you need to go get training again, it's costly. And so there are ways that we can better connect them to places like WorkSource DeKalb, but again, they need to have that high school diploma. So there are things that we can do to make this a little bit better and easier. But I wanted to introduce, or really let him introduce himself. This is Alan Battles. And Alan is one of our great employer partners. And so I'll let him introduce himself. We just wanted to chat for a second about what it looks like when it's successful. Because yes, this is a problem, but there's also so much opportunity. We have all these people who are documented folks with great experience who want to work, and we have all these employers who need people who are really dedicated. So yeah, let's have a conversation about that, and I'll let you introduce yourself, Alan.
Good morning. I got two accents, the American accent and the Georgia accent. So I grew up in South Georgia, been in Georgia all my life. My name's Alan Battles. I'm the Director of Distribution for Truck Hero. We have 3 facilities, Lawrenceville, Beaufort, and Swanee. We employ maybe around 600 people total, all 3 facilities put together. 85% of the workforce, around 85%, is immigrants. A vast majority of it is Vietnamese, Bosnia. What I'm over, we operate at 330,000 square feet. My head counts runs between 50 and 75. 90 to 95% of it is immigrants. And there's a real reason why. So being in the product industry, of course, we want productivity, we want efficiency, we want dedication, and so forth. So this is what I'm seeing directly from the immigrants or immigrant teammates. They're teammates, they're friends. Dependability, attention to detail, efficiency. And then also, what's more important is work ethic. I can train you to do anything in the world in truck fever, but what's more important to us is the work ethic. Are you willing to work your full hours, do the little extra to make the company successful, to make Georgia successful, so we can bring more jobs to Georgia. So, I got some direct examples I want to talk to you about. And I apologize for not being able to show the guys. Oops, I'm sorry. So, Lauren called me, and it was kind of funny how she did it. Because actually, one of our immigrants just won Employee of the Quarter. All right? So his name's Black Young. So he's been with the company for 36 years. 36 years. Still going strong, working 10, 11 hours. Not because he wants to, but because he wants to finish the job to satisfy the customer. That's what business is about, satisfying the customer. What's more important is his journey. He escaped from his homeland, communist North Vietnam, and took over South Vietnam. Like to travel 2 days and 2 nights by boat. 2 days and 2 nights. In the China Sea, headed to Hong Kong. So you can see, Hawkinsville, Georgia, right? Grew up on a farm. I had no idea the tribulations, but, whatever we can do is help. Thank you.
So what Ellen was just talking about gets at some research that Deloitte and the Tent Partnership did in 2019, where they talked to 177 employers, and they talked to them about what impact having a large immigrant workforce had made for them. And they found that when companies are hiring immigrants, they experience less turnover, they have more dedicated employees, they have higher morale, and also the company has a better brand and reputation with consumers because they're doing something positive. And so this is a win-win. Like, that is the ultimate thing I want you all to take from this. We're able to help employers get great, dedicated employees who are so ready and just want a chance to work. And then also we're able to give people a chance to really connect their skills and their talents and their education to the Georgia workforce. I wanted to just briefly ask Alan, Lund and Truck here, you guys have done just a few things to be able to make your environment more welcoming place for immigrants and refugees. Could you just speak to the committee a little bit about those practices?
So we have longevity in our employees, and so what we do when we get an employee that cannot speak good English, we basically have them shadow with another employee that speaks the same language. We have them trained, we have different interpreters, we have our work procedures wrote in different languages. We try to make it as friendly as possible. We observe different cultures with the Vietnamese, the New Year. It's different, so we definitely observe their cultures as well as ours. Like I said before, I don't understand. It's just the only thing I know is people. So people are people.
We have really appreciated that at the IRC. We have been able to get dozens and dozens and dozens of people employed in manufacturing jobs at Lund and Truck Hero because Lund makes these really simple changes. They have that basic education about what it means to work with a resettlement agency like the IRC. And they're not afraid of making these little accommodations. And so, like Alan was saying, they allow our interpreters to come for an orientation, to just make sure everybody's on the same page. They schedule people together, so if there are issues, people can carpool together. If there's only one or two vehicles in a particular group of people that they hire. And they also really educate the people that work in their HR offices about how to process documents. There's a lot of fear and concern among HR managers that people who have refugee status can't work, and that's just not true. They can work indefinitely from the time they get off the plane. And so with these small challenges, we're able to really support the workforce and give people a great job.
And just to add to one of the most important things for me is because of the work ethic and dedication and their efficiency, they take actions, and other people, younger generations, come through and see this is how it's done, and so forth. This example by actions. So, thank you.
Questions from the committee for our presenters? Representative Fry?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a real quick couple of questions for Lund. Y'all's main objective is to turn a profit, correct? I mean, that's what you're in business for, am I right?
That's what we're all in business for.
Okay. And you have found a way to do that through this innovative workforce solution here. Is that correct?
That's absolutely 100% correct. If it wasn't for the workforce, then we would, I don't know what would, absolutely.
Okay, and can you tell me, do you think that you do this at the expense of American citizens that might be looking for jobs at your company, or are you filling places that we needed to fill?
We needed to fill, it's individual, American citizens, immigrants, refugees, it's individuals. What it amounts to as an employer is, do you have the work ethic, the motivation, I call it competitiveness, whatever you want to call it, something inside of you that makes you want to see at your job, whatever your job, even if it's pushing on, you want to be the best room sweeper there is. It's individuals. So everything, in my view, is based upon individuals right now, demonstrated by actions. We are seated in our business based upon our workforce. And what's most important, again, going back, is I'm in my 50s, I hate to announce it, but you know, it's important for me, for that younger generation, to step up. My wife's a nurse, but you know, manufacturing's area. We just gotta be creative, we gotta be innovative, we gotta just keep pushing it on. But that work base is there, ain't out of my mind.
One more clarification. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And so just to clarify your statements, basically you're looking for a specific work ethic, a way of doing business from any individual, and that's how you guys do business, because people work hard, they come work for you.
I think that's how everybody does business.
Thank you, sir.
Questions from the committee?
I have a quick
Okay, Susan.
comment and question. It's really good to know that you have a welcoming, environment at your company, and also few things that you have done for, especially with, immigrant and refugee community. My question is, sometimes I've come across working in the community that, especially women, they sometimes face harassment, and due to language barriers and stuff like that. Sometimes that might not get to the real, people who needs to hear that. Is there any encouragement or even orientation, for those HRs that to have some kind of special channel or special way of bringing those grievances, if there is any?
Yes, there is. All businesses have, HR protocol type deals and so forth. People that does that has a narrow scope, very limited view. It is what it is. I hate to say it that way, but as an example, our company, I recently promoted a Bosnian immigrant to a supervisor. We have immigrants moving up in the corporate ladder based upon not who you know, it's what you do, what you demonstrate, and the value that you have. Hopefully I answered your question, but we do have policies and procedures, and we take it very seriously. So, we got it.
All right, anyone else? Angelica?
I just,
You just hit the delay, just start talking, it'll come on.
So I just want to make a clarifying comment to what Representative Fry said. When we talk about immigrants, let's not forget that 50% of those immigrants are U.S. citizens. So the question of whether they're taking away, I even don't like to repeat it, is in my mind the wrong question.
All right, thank you very much. We'll move right along. Appreciate you being here. Nathan Humphrey. I think I saw Nathan in the back. Come on up. He's going to lead us in a time of discussing small business growth and entrepreneurship. Nathan is with the National Federation, I think it's supposed to say, of Independent Businesses. Nathan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee for your time and your work on this very important issue. And I appreciate our guests that are here with us today as well. As you said, my name is Nathan Humphrey. I'm with the National Federation of Independent Business. It's a mouthful, so we just usually say NFIB. But anyway, pleasure to be here today. There are over 82,000 immigrant entrepreneurs in the state of Georgia, employing almost over 206,000 people. And as it's been mentioned before, 99% of Georgia businesses are small businesses. It's one of the largest employers in the state if it was one entity. It's important to keep our small business sector thriving across the state of Georgia, but especially in our global communities. And I'm glad we have with us today some outstanding small business owners to tell us some of their stories and experiences. So before we get started, I'd like for each of you to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your business, and we'll get into some questions. Yeah, you can take it.
Okay, excellent. Hello, everyone. My name is Elisa Molina. I am the founder and CEO of Copadosa. I am a proud immigrant of the Dominican Republic. I came to the U.S. when I was 12, going on 13. And in March of 2000, and my family moved to Georgia while I was in college in Buffalo, New York. Copadosa is the go-to marketplace for women to feel empowered, validated, and confident to speak up about the issues they care about. We also partner with women artists who identify as Black, Indigenous, and/or women of color to illustrate our print collaborations. And thank you for allowing me to be here today.
Hello, Ms. Joshua, BK Paintings. Hello, my name is Joshua Lucas, and I'm here on behalf of BK Painting Services. What we do is we involved in home improvement, like painting, flooring, and everything about home improvement and community. So I'm here with the owner, the CEO. I'm just his assistants and help. We work both of us, the two of us. For now, we don't have any other employees. It's only two people working, and he's the founder and CEO of the BK Painting Services.
Hi everyone. My name is Kinumbe Bienfait, the owner of BK Painting Services, and I just come in America since 2017. I'm coming from Uganda. I work to Uganda since 2007. Up to now, I still work in paint.
Hello everyone. once more. I'm Sushma Barakoti, and I own a business called Sunam World. I worked in nonprofit for all my life. Owning a business was never in my dream. So after coming to US in 2000, I think I was craving for that connection to Nepal, where I grew up. So that's when I started, importing arts and crafts made by women in Nepal, fair trade, and tried to sell to my friends in college and my professors and my co-workers later in Pennsylvania. But when I moved to Georgia in 2012, that's when I found that I was in between jobs, my nonprofit jobs. So I thought, okay, maybe I can explore turning this passion into business so that I can help more people. So that's when I registered as a business. So I sell fair trade, handmade products from Nepal, and also after having some experience, I started manufacturing some in Boston as well.
Great, thank you. All right, first question we'll get to. Can each of you share the importance of being an entrepreneur in your local community and how this has been a part of sharing your culture?
Thank you. Yes, being an entrepreneur in my local community has allowed me and a lot of us to create sustainable sources of income, to break out of generational poverty. Unfortunately, we're not taught financial literacy at home, and also back in the day at least in school. So we utilize this platform to create sources of income to help us break out of that. And also I believe being an entrepreneur in our local communities allows us to also create more job security, employ our own people so they can also feel secure at home, and also inspire others to do the same.
Hello. Talking about BK Painting Services, it started in 2017, but it was officially here in the United States of America, started in 2019. And we have been working, we got documents and everything in 2019, so it was officially a business. And we try to work with most of the immigrants. Like, most of the immigrants, they want to fix their houses, they like money, and we try to work with them, those people who like money and everything. But we also do a great job with other people. We make sure when we work, our customers, they're impressed and they're satisfied. And if they're not satisfied, we go back anytime and fix anything that went wrong. But we just make sure the first shot, we get it right. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I mean, being a business owner that I feel comfortable calling myself now, which I did not feel comfortable ever calling a business owner before. But I feel that I'm contributing to the local community. I feel camaraderie among other small businesses. And I learn and I get inspired by other small businesses every day that I connect with. And this is, I think, also a great opportunity for me, coming from Nepal, and exposing the products that I bring here and talking about the artisans that make these products. I think there's a learning going on and education and cultural, exposing Bali culture to the local people here. I feel really good.
Great. Next question, let's talk about this. This is something that impacts all business owners when they start out or at some point as they run a business, but particularly I think for these communities as well. What are some of the challenges you faced as you started your business and you tried to grow your business? What kind of choke points have you kind of had to overcome?
Absolutely, I would say absolutely all of them. And, but at the beginning, COVID also started as a side hustle. in 2017 with an idea, without a brand, without a business plan, without any structure and foundation. And I faced a lot of challenges as a result of that lack of foundation and structure. So it really wasn't until I found, a resource in my community, the Latin American Association. They have a women's economic empowerment program, and I signed up for their Avanzando Juntas program, which teaches us business skills and business development. So they allowed me to take my, side hustle idea that really wasn't branded and didn't have a foundation to have a more clear idea, gain more clarity in terms of where should this idea go, and most importantly, how to make it profitable was really the most important piece, because the way I thought of it at the beginning, it really wasn't going to be. Secondly, before I pass it on to my peers, something else that we face is whenever we have an idea and we want to launch something, lack of access to capital was huge. My original idea involved importing products from a rural community in Costa Rica. That did not work, failed once. My second idea to solve that didn't work, failed twice. It wasn't until the third time that I was like, I got it, I know how to solve this issue. That I moved to digital art that really allowed me to empower a lot more artists globally, because digital art, we can just access it via email and put it in a product, and that was easier to do, but definitely lack of access to capital and lack of a foundation and knowledge on how to set up a good structure were some of the things that I faced.
The challenge I face for my business since 2019 is a document. To get a document in case we're still coming and we live in an apartment, to have license is difficult, because if you go to get a license, they ask you a lot of documents and they say where you live. You have to have the sign for the apartment owner, and you find it's coming difficult. And until I get the place to get a business license, and I just stayed with no business license for almost 2 years, looking for it. I pay, I don't have it, and then I still pay because challenges coming too much. And another challenge we have is workers' comp. Workers' comp for the business is coming too much money, and it's too expensive to get.
Yeah, for me, like Elisa said, everything, because it was so new to me that I did not know how to start and where to start. But I was very, very lucky that I found I have great mentors, really kind mentors from the beginning. When the first time the business owner who wanted to sell my products in her boutique, and then she found out that I was not registered, she literally took me to the office, and I registered my business. I just came up with the name right there, and I started that way. And then after going through, selling in farmers market and stuff like that, I got connected to the community, and people were so forthcoming with information. Hey, maybe you might want to do this. Hey, you might want to explore that. And that's how I got connected to a business accelerator program, just like you, called Start Me. It's a business accelerator program run by Emory's Business School in 3 cities in Atlanta, one being in Parkston. So it's a 14 weeks program, business knowledge, mentors, networking, and small grant capital is its core program. So that helped me immensely. So not knowing where to go to register a business, after going through Start Me program, after 1 year of graduating, I was already exhibiting at America's Mart and selling my product wholesale. So at the moment, I have more than 100 retailers all across the United States and Canada selling my products. So I believe, and I owe that to my mentors who literally held my hand and taught me step by step. And still I'm learning. I about business, but I have come a long way.
That's great, and I want to get into resources here in a second, but you hit a really interesting topic, and that's mentorship. Business owners are hardworking, creative, industrious people that are active, and it's amazing to see how they navigate all the challenges that they face. But they're great mentors to each other, is what I've noticed. And so that's one thing I encourage small business owners, they start out, seek out a mentor who's been successful in business, and I encourage business owners to do the same to help our entrepreneurs who are coming up behind them. So dovetailing into that, the next question on that, what are some other resources besides mentorship that have been helpful to you as you navigate these challenges?
Totally agree on the mentorship. I currently have a mentor from SCORE, and she is instrumental in my process because finances are not my thing, and she's a finance guru, so yes, great match. So aside from mentorship, two things have been truly tremendous for the Covidosa growth. First is business training, which is a part of the mentorship piece. I'm the type of person, and a lot of us, we apply for whatever it is out there, whether we get accepted or not. Business accelerators, business development programs, incubators, whatever is out there available for us. We try our best to be a part of that so we can get that support. They are tremendous. I just did a program with the Georgia Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Crested, which was a business development program to help us hone in on our business acumen, develop a business mindset, things that are typically not taught, right, in other types of programs, so that's really helpful. The second thing, truly for me, which are super important, are small business grants. Because I apply for everything and I look for as many resources as possible, I have been able to secure over $35,000 in small business grants to help catapult Covidosa to what it is today, invested in marketing, website development, new product development, admin support, whatever those resources allow me to do. And I've also seen how much these resources, these small business grants, truly help other small business owners, even if they're at early stage of their business or they've already been bringing in revenue. I'm a huge advocate of small business grants, regardless if it's $500, regardless if it's $10 or $20,000. Anything truly helps us because sometimes we're at a point where we're not generating enough revenue to pay ourselves. So it takes us a year, 2, or maybe 3 years to get to that point. But in the meantime, those particular funds help us navigate the operational costs that we incur.
Can I go next? Because I just have to add a few things to that. I agree with everything you just said. And especially working in refugee and immigrant community here in Clarkston and around Clarkston, and working for a refugee serving agency myself, I really value the business accelerator programs. Almost all the resettlement agencies and some of the refugee serving agencies have embedded in their programs, like incubator and entrepreneurship development program in their as part of the program is so important. We have here Refuge Coffee has an apprenticeship program. Refuge Women's Network has business incubator program, like we have entrepreneurship development program with food entrepreneurs who you're going to eat, the lunch is served by its Chef's Club. New American Pathway has a program called Forward where they, provide them more advanced, skills to small businesses. And then like Start Me and the American Associations programs are really into that. Second, microloans or grants, very, very important. It was an eye-opening experience for me when last year when business stopped, like there was no festival, no markets and everything. My revenue almost went like 5%. And then I applied for a PPP loan, and in the first round I did not even qualify. So I think for states, for the lawmakers to look at all the barriers of the small businesses that really need those resources at the time of need,
talking about the resources, first of all, the first thing was about the stimulus, at the time of the stimulus, when they gave the small businesses some amount of money. They gave us about $4,000, and that helped out in a little bit of getting some tools and all the other little stuff that we were looking for to get into the business. But it was also a little bit of a tough time like getting the businesses, because it's about home improvement, and nobody wanted people in their houses, and the business was kind of going down, and we were getting discouraged and all that stuff. But we didn't stop. We kept on going. We were not getting too many resources. We were just using the one we had to make use of it and all that.
Great. Well, we're close on time, Mr. Chairman, so I'll save it for any questions you may have.
Yeah, one.
Just in hearing all the resources that they were talking about, correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't hear a single resource mentioned that was really immigrant specific or refugee specific. Those are resources that are available to any small business owner. Correct?
Correct. I would encourage people to look at the small business development centers through our university system. They're fantastic. A lot of times you'll have a small business owner who's very good at their business, but they're not a compliance expert, which a lot of times you're a small business owner, you're wearing multiple hats. You're CEO, CFO, head of HR, and you just need someone to help you with those skill sets to get you going. And so that's usually where I would encourage people to start out at.
So it also sounded to me like the challenges that these three groups face are the same ones I hear from all business owners. Paperwork, documentation, all these things, very similar challenges across the board.
Very similar. And then just once you're up and running, your workers' comp costs, those are things we hear from people from every walk of life and every type of industry. Those are headaches you got to navigate.
May I add to the answer to that question? I do want to say some of the resources that I received were actually very specific to either women-owned and or Hispanic or Latinx-owned or Black-owned businesses. So that's actually some of the reasons why I was able to really qualify, because grants particularly, they're extremely competitive. You may be applying for a $2,500 grant, and you may have to be chosen from a pool of 200 applicants, 500 applicants, right? I remember applying for the FedEx grant. They received thousands of applications, and they literally had to choose the top 100 from those thousands. So it's a very competitive thing, but I definitely think when they are specific to where we're from, to our culture, or to just something that identifies with our identities, we have a better chance of receiving those resources. Otherwise, it's just a very competitive environment.
That's exactly right. That's why I think the immigrants and refugees specific programs are not out there, because it's very small and it is housed under mostly organizations, like non-profit organizations, helping them. So I think resources, particularly even to non-profit organizations, to develop and expand these entrepreneurs who really need hand-holding. Because the Chefs Club, the Entrepreneurship Development Program at RWM, the Refugee Women's Network that we are running right now, we are doing ServSafe certification, and that is such a huge first step for food entrepreneurs, but with language barriers, it's extremely difficult. So what we are doing is we are sitting down with an interpreter and coaching them the whole thing to pass that certification. So those are just an example. So that's why it's housed under nonprofits and immigrant-specific organizations who need specific help.
Other questions from committee members? Anyone? Thank you so much for being here today. Very much appreciate you being here.
I appreciate it.
Good
afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, and guests. Again, it's an honor to have you here at Georgia Piedmont Technical College and to be able to share with you the work that we do. I don't know if it was intentional, but putting us at the end of the agenda was brilliant because all of the previous presenters really opened the door for us to run right through. And a special thank you to Dr. Diaz, who is a graduate of our program. We are so proud of you, and thank you for plugging us. My name is Megan McBride, and I serve as the Vice President for Adult Education here at Georgia Piedmont Technical College, where our mission, in short, is workforce development. And GPTC's Adult Ed program supports that mission by helping students develop the literacy and numeracy skills necessary to participate meaningfully in the workforce through a variety of free programs. Free being the key word there. So our adult basic education program helps prepare students to earn their high school fluency, like Dr. Riyad did, by either passing the GED exam or the high school fluency test, which is called the HiSET. Our ESL program helps immigrants, refugees, and new Americans learn to develop their English proficiency for deeper engagement in their local workplaces, communities, and civic activities. The Ready Step Lead program is the focus of our presentation today, so you'll learn all about that in just a minute. We typically enroll over 3,000 students annually. Although we have suffered a steep decline in enrollment over the course of the pandemic, we currently have the highest enrollment in the state of Georgia, with over 700 students enrolled since July 1st. During the pandemic, we reimagined and revolutionized our service delivery. And I'm proud that we now offer a fully developed distance education program supported by a robust learning management system. Our distance education program allows students who have barriers to enrollment like childcare, transportation, or jobs that make it difficult to attend classes on campus to attend from home. For many, these barriers did exist pre-pandemic, but over the course of the last year and a half, they've been exacerbated, of course. During the first year of the pandemic, our program averaged about 98% distance education enrollment. But for the first 8 months of the pandemic, we were at 100% distance education. Prior to the pandemic, we had 0 students in distance education. 100% of our students attended on campus. But we currently offer flexible classes online or on campus, morning, afternoon, or evening at our various locations in DeKalb, Newton, and Rockville counties. And we even hold classes remotely at our 3 county jail sites in those counties as well. Although we reopened our campus to face-to-face instruction in March of 2021, at present, as of today, 68% of our students are still have chosen to remain in our distance education classes compared to 43% statewide. But the focus of today's presentation is on our ESL program, which has been serving the local community for over 20 years. Currently, our ESL program also has the largest enrollment within the technical college system of Georgia, with over 350 students this fiscal year since July the 1st. We typically serve around 1,000 students annually in our ESL program, and during the pandemic, we managed to still serve over 700 remotely, completely remotely, which was a major challenge for our students and our teachers. Our ESL students are incredibly diverse, representing more than 50 countries and speaking over 70 languages. So now, my colleague Mary Baxter will share with you our innovative solution to strengthen the economy by enabling the foreign-born to contribute more fully in the workforce.
Thank you so much, Dr. McBride, and thank you all for letting us be here today. We're all here because of the need to engage foreign-born Georgia residents in economic growth and opportunities. And we've heard throughout the morning, these are individuals who are highly skilled, they have good education, but there are barriers for them being able to use those here in the state of Georgia. And so here at Georgia Piedmont Technical College, we are committed to creating a clear path to those opportunities for economic growth. And we want to do so while recognizing the skills that they already have and building on those skills, or providing new skills and new opportunities for them. So that's what we're about to talk about. So we've done this by creating a program that we call Ready, Step, Lead, just so that it's easy to remember, kind of rolls off the tongue a little bit. But Ready is the entry point into this program. Those are our traditional adult education classes, such as our GED or HiSET prep classes, or our ESL civics classes. So that's the very beginning for students who want to go through this program. The next component of the program is STEP, and that includes our bridge classes, which I'm going to talk about in more detail in a few minutes. And then finally we have LEAP, the last component, and this is a variety of career pathways in specific industries. So you'll see they're listed on the slide. We have cybersecurity, manufacturing, healthcare. So these are specific industries that students can begin studying in. They're typically 3 weeks to 1 semester. They're taught in partnership with our economic development department. And it's a great way for students to earn 1 or more industry-recognized credential in a high-demand career field. And ultimately, the goal of this program, we have a couple of goals. So first and foremost, educate. You know, education has come up a couple of times this morning. It's so important for these individuals that we're talking about. And for us, we do this by educating concurrently and contextualized. So essentially, a student, when they pass from Ready into STEP and LEAP, they don't leave their ESL classes behind. They continue to receive English language instruction that is contextualized to that industry pathway. So they're receiving vocabulary, they're receiving speaking and listening and reading practice that is aligned with that specific industry. We also want to engage these foreign-born students in economic opportunities. So we do that through this program, and then we also have employers who are eager to hire our students when they complete the program. So it's a very clear pathway for them. And then finally, we want to equip our foreign-born students to have a clear pathway to skilled employment. We want this to be easy for them to see the steps, to see the end goal, and to know how to get there. So when we first started the program, it was a lot like this picture. We had opportunities for our students in these industry pathways, but we had not created the support or the path they needed to walk forward to that opportunity. So we started with a manufacturing pathway. We put students from our highest ESL classes into that pathway, and they floundered a little bit. They were really confused by the vocabulary, they were confused by the content, the reading was very high, they just were not prepared. And so we said, there's a need here, we need to do something differently. And so what we did, we created a solution by adding steps. So that's that middle part of our program in order to complete this pathway for it, to make it easier for them to transition from those ESL classes, which are not enough. They don't provide the right information for those students to help them transition to those industry pathways. And so we created our bridge classes. Now, we already had a model with this in our academic bridge class. We have been offering this for a couple of years. This is for students who are interested in transitioning to higher education. And so it provides critical thinking skills, academic reading and writing skills, things that they don't typically get in a high-level basic life skills ESL class, so that they are better prepared to enter into college or GED or HiSET classes. So we took that same model and used it with these industry pathways. So we ran our first cohort, our first bridge class in June. We had a 4-week class. It was ESL specific, and students learned vocabulary related to the IT field. They learned how to speak and listen and practice English skills within the context of that industry field. So they are now, those students are now currently in our cybersecurity, the full pathway course, and they are doing so well. They're familiar with the content. They're more engaged than a lot of our other students who did not participate in a bridge class, and they're really excited about the program. So we've seen that there's a huge success with this bridge program in comparison to the way we did it before. So we have a vision for what we want to do for the future. We want to expand this. We want to apply this bridge class to all of the industry pathways that we offer. We've seen that it's successful with one, But we need help, we need curriculum. There are not a lot of resources for curriculum in these areas. These are fields, this is a very different field, trying to provide English skills that are industry specific for adults. And so what we'd like to do, what our plan is to bring in industry instructors, partner them with adult education instructors, and build a curriculum that is robust, that's relevant, that gives students the tools they need to succeed in these pathway programs, and that we can use over and over again in preparation for these programs. But we don't want to be the only ones to use it. We want this to be replicable and scalable across the state. This is the direction that adult education is moving in. Just like our conversations today, these are the directions our whole state is moving in. And so we want to build this curriculum and provide it for other programs around the state so they can do something similar. And then of course we need more instructors to help teach these classes. And also we want to implement co-teaching in our industry pathways so that students have that ongoing support of an adult education instructor who can address any questions about vocabulary or some of those basic skills that they might have gaps in. And so we're currently seeking funding. We're applying for the Year 2 and state fiscal recovery funds. But we're really excited about the opportunity to fund these visions for opening up pathways for our foreign students. And just to close out, I want to share the story of one of our students. So this is Marbella. This is a picture of her. She recently graduated from our ESL program. And she went through our cybersecurity bridge class in June and is currently in our cybersecurity pathway. Now, the neat thing about that is it's a perfect opportunity for her. She has a master's in IT from her home country. And so she's able to enter into this pathway that aligns with her field and her experience already. She was supposed to be here today to share this story with you personally, but she got a job. So, yes. Not only did she get a job, but it is in her field as a technical support technician. So really exciting for her. So we told her it's fine, we don't have to be here. But in response, I did ask her to record a video for us. So sharing her story, so I'm going to see if this will work. Thank you for your patience. We're always technical in this one. Okay, give us a minute. Are there any questions while we try to pull up this video? While we're waiting, there are some gifts in the back on behalf of Georgia Piedmont Technical College for all the committee members. We're so grateful and happy to do it today. Yeah. I think we're almost there, but we'll give up after this try.
Worst case scenario, you can send us the link since it's
Yes.
on YouTube.
My name is Marbella Otero. I am from Venezuela. I live with my sister and I have a daughter. In my home country, I got more than 10 years of IT and security experience. I have a bachelor's degree in computer science and a master in IT and management. I started studying with Richmond Technical College, taking ESL classes. Then one day I got an email about a new computer class, very new for me, because I really want a job in my field, and that will be the perfect opportunity for me. So they actually offer a pre-class called ESL Computer Bridge. Brilliant, because not everyone in the class have a technical background. So they base us in the same level before start the real class. So in this class we learn about basic vocabulary, terminology, principles of technology, security, networking, everything that will give us a good base to start the real class, the cybersecurity class. So we got a very good teacher and we learned a lot. Yes, I am pretty thankful for the bridge class and of course the cybersecurity class. And well, I really appreciate this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to again express our appreciation to Piedmont for hosting us. Very great host. It's also good to be in Clarkston always. In my real life, I'm a minister at a church in Woodstock, and we are very active in this issue with ESL classes, citizenship classes. The lady who offices next door to me, who heads up our special needs ministry, just was sworn in, her and her mother both, about 2 months ago as citizens. We used to send teams to Clarkston every Saturday to develop sports leagues for refugee kids in this community. So really grateful. I think it's an amazing story of this community, and it's amazing what's happening here. And this committee is about equal opportunity. We can't control the outcomes, but as I think Joy said it over and over again, everybody deserves a chance, and they deserve an equal opportunity to live the dream of this great experiment we call America. And so that's what we're about. I don't know about the rest of the committee members, but I know I learned a lot today. And I look forward to learning more. Our next meeting is September 9th at Dalton State. And then we have an October meeting at the Capitol. We invite you to join us for either or both of those if you so desire. I appreciate you being here today. So at this time, we'll be dismissed. Thank you.